the end of this conference, one way for us to benefit is we have to position ourselves for the investment that will come in.
Yes, certainly.
Because if that is not available,
well, it's going to go somewhere else. And it's gradually, if we as a country do not position ourselves pretty well in terms of pull ourselves up by the bootstraps, African countries are not sleeping. Let's be frank with ourselves. There's a lot of growth in West Africa, and guess what? There's a lot of growth in East Africa. A certain country in East Africa now seems to be where everybody should go. They are well positioned for investment in every sense of the word. The population is not as big as Nigeria or big as Ghana, but guess what? It's actually the easiest place to open or to set up a business. I'm sure you know the country I'm talking about, without a shadow of doubt. It's easier to set up business there. It's geared towards business in every sense of the word. And apart from that, with the discovery of oil and gas in other countries as well, hey, Nigeria better wake up.
Would that require a reorientation? There's a school of thought that thinks Nigeria needs to be run like a company. Unless it's run like a company, we'll still be there, the giant of Africa, and no movement forward.
Well, like any country has to be run like a business. We need to be viable, whether we like it or not.
Not for personal gain, but for the
collective gain. A collective gain. I think when people like you and myself decide to get involved, whether at the political front, involved with other, well, get involved with government, then you have change. We can't sit on the fence and expect change because it's easy to pontificate and nothing will happen. But people like you and myself, if you think we have the idea, should get involved. But the issue is that most of us don't want to get our hands dirty. But to be honest with you, you can't do much without getting your hands dirty. Dirty in a good way, not dirty in a negative way. You understand? But we have to get involved. And I'm happy to say that I know increasingly a lot of Nigerians are getting involved because we know that we can actually make changes. And you can see the changes you can see the changes around you. I mean, I'd say that it's not all bad because in the last 10 to 5 years, there's so much change in Nigeria on a weekly basis. I would to say that even on a daily basis. All you have to do is look around you within Lagos State or any of the southwestern states. There's a lot of change happening.
Because you have the population.
You have the population.
It will keep growing.
It will keep growing. And the thing about this is that we need to ensure that we create wealth amongst the population. It's simple as that. I always give an example. I use my driver as the average Nigerian. That if my driver can buy this, or if my driver can buy this service, then we're somewhere. If he can't buy, then we're in trouble. It's simple as that. He needs to believe he has a stake in the so-called Nigeria. If he doesn't feel he has a stake in Nigeria, then there's trouble. But right now, guess what? He believes he has a stake in Nigeria. So I know this is good for Nigeria.
That's quite interesting because, I mean, that point where we have to get involved. Because a lot of people who are just on the sidelines say, oh, no, it's dirty, I can't do this. That mentality, that mindset has to change.
It has to change. I think we need to buy into what I say to people is that I think we as a people have to describe ourselves more as Nigerians rather than, okay, guess what, I'm a Yoruba man or Igbo man or Hausa man. Because when people ask me what I do, consciously I say, I'm a Nigerian. They say, but Igbo, I say, the one that matters is the Nigerian bit.
Yeah.
It's a conscious thing. We need to build that, we need to believe in the idea or the business called Nigeria. If we don't believe in it, then we're just kidding ourselves because bottom line is that to have any kind of growth in that country right now, we all have to buy into the ideology called Nigeria. It's simple as that.
And regardless of the situation as it may be.
You have to embrace it and do the best you can possibly do. Because, listen, we don't have another country but this. I say to people, I don't want to be a refugee. I can't be a refugee. I'm in Nigeria.
Okay, but if you could just react to this. A comment from one of the viewers says, how can you say Nigerian graduates are unemployable when graduates are making good standards within and outside the show?
I think, correction, I didn't say Nigerian graduates are unemployable. That's not the word. I said we need to tackle unemployability. That's actually a major issue. And yes, I'm also a Nigerian graduate myself. But guess what? We shouldn't rest on our laurels. We need to constantly improve. And I also said that our major problem is not unemployable. It's not that we don't have the jobs. We just don't have people fit for this problem. Yeah, exactly. That's where the issues are. Because I mentioned the oil and gas sector. I'll give an example. You ask yourself, how many deep sea welders do you have in Nigeria that are Nigerians? in a population of 168 million people. That's official count. In a country that's a major oil and gas producer in the world, you don't have enough Nigerians playing in that sector. You have Venezuelans, you have guys coming from Cardiff or coming from Aberdeen to work in those sectors. That means that's jobs that could be local jobs being given to other people because you don't have Nigerians who can play in that sector. And to be honest with you, the Nigerians playing in that sector is so minuscule in terms of numbers. You don't have enough Nigerians playing in that sector. But guess what? You don't have to be a school sat or a degree holder to work in that sector. That is my point exactly. It's not about graduates. Graduates don't make Nigeria. Nigeria is a moving part. You've got, we're looking for skilled professionals. You're looking for blue-collared workers. You're looking for artisans. That's what makes Nigeria. That's where the problem is. You don't have enough skilled artisans. You look around, you ask yourself, when was the last time you saw a straight wall? Let's be frank with ourselves. When was the last time you saw a properly fitted socket? But we have to go and bring in people from Cotonou to come and fix it, to come and build houses for us. Because guess what? We don't have that benchmark standard any longer. And it's actually a major problem. But once we can, start certifying people and start establishing a major benchmark for skill set in Nigeria, then we're somewhere. I was talking about the oil and gas sector in terms of deep sea diving or whatever. It's a major industry. And again, the reason I'm bringing that sector up is that you always believe that if you're not a science student, you can't work in that sector. It's preposterous. You can. You don't even have to have a degree to work in that sector. Fact. You need to go in for the professional certifications. The certifications you can do to work in most of the oil and gas sector opportunities. But a lot of Nigerians do not have that access to information. So you can't make an informed decision based on that.
Now, these certifications you're talking about.
Certainly.
Reorientation certifications, reworking ourselves, as we have rebased, reworking ourselves for the mark, for purpose.
Certainly.
It's going to, as you said, Nigerians don't seem to have the information. Is making that information available now that will make the difference? And you said something, you don't have to be a degree holder.
You don't have to be.
So a school set holder can actually go.
You can. Because I'll give you an example. You ask yourself, the guy coming in from Aberdeen, does he have a degree? No, he doesn't. You have a situation whereby guys, so guess what? I have all the degrees, but how can someone who doesn't have a degree be in charge of me? Guess what? He can, because he's done the professional certification. He's a certified project manager in that sector. So he knows the system. He knows that sector better than you do. You don't know that sector. So in terms of like I said, you do not. It's a myth that everything that you do, especially when it comes to the oil and gas sector, you have to be a degree holder. It's a myth that you have to be a degree holder at all. There's certain skills that it's good to be a degree holder. For example, I look at engineers. There's one university that in Nigeria, this is Yabatech. It's a polytechnic. For me, it's actually one of the best schools in Nigeria. And the reason why I say that is that the courses are very practical. The practical courses, the engineers are superb coming out. I'm not a member of Yabatech, but on several occasions, organizations even ask us that, can you get us people from Yabatech? Because, it's very hands-on, the course is there.
And some of them don't know what they have.
They don't. You understand? I mean, it's a very good university or polytechnic, whatever you want to call it. But the idea is that it's not all about the university, because there's this misconception that everybody has to go to university. That's where a major problem is, because the wealth of experience out there.
Okay, the focus has been, or somewhat, Nigeria's trying to move away from the oil and gas, focus on oil and gas.
Certainly.
So agriculture.
Certainly.
Do you, are the skill sets on ground to attract these FDIs and keep them?
I didn't get your question again.
Nigeria's trying to move away from oil and gas and focus on agriculture. In fact, that has been like the sermon for a long while now, pioneered by the Ministry of Agriculture. Do we have the skill sets to triumph in that area locally?
I think we're developing the capacity at this point in time, because we're not used to extensive mechanized farming as such. It's practiced, yes, but it's very minuscule. Not a lot of people practice that. Most of the farming systems that we have is more community-based farming, and it's not like I said, it's not extensive mechanized farming. The sort of farming we're looking at now at this point in time is actually extensive mechanized farming, and you can train people accordingly. And I believe a lot of the states are actually doing that. They've brought in a lot of foreign expertise to actually assist, especially coming from Southern Africa, to assist in ensuring that, okay, fine, the capacity is actually built within and being able to position themselves to play in this sector. So I know they're doing a lot of work in that respect. It will take time, but it's not something that is not surmountable.
Interesting. Well, that's all the time we have now, but don't worry, we'll see you at that summit in Abuja. Okay, then, today I have Funto Akinkungbe talking to us about the forthcoming World Economic Forum, which holds in Abuja only next week, as a matter of fact.